A friend of mine recently purchased this Podium. He's a pastor at a local church and he's used it a few times, but it's not to his liking. The factory adjustments do work great and add some versatility, but there are a couple design flaws. First off, the max height adjustment is just a little bit on the short side for him, but I believe we can fix this easily. And the second, well, it's going to take a little bit more effort. Looking at this top section, these curves here, well, the design makes it really appealing to the eyes. But whenever you're trying to use it, it's quite painful because things want to just kind of flop over the edge. Plus, if we look right down here to this ledge or the stop here, this right here usually holds your Bible or a book or whatever and keeps things from falling off. But if you look at it closely, it's not even close to being straight across. I mean, that has a ton of curve to it. So whenever he's preaching and there's a little bit of vibration, this could potentially have the Bible or anything else slide off the edges. So I believe we should just completely redesign and replace this top section, making it a little bit larger and a little bit nicer. Now if we take a close look on the inside, this appears to be one of those assemble yourself kind of units using a screwdriver. So let's take this apart so it's easier to work on the top and bottom. Looking at the side that touches the floor, you'll notice there's already some pre-drilled holes. I have a feeling from the factory this had some feet you were supposed to install, but they never did. So the easiest way to actually attach some feet would probably just drill some holes and add some screws through the top. But right here is one of the previous holes in it and it has a cheap plastic coating on it that's starting to split. So I have a feeling if I drill a hole over here, it might split the plastic and cause more problems. So while I put a little bit more thought into exactly what to do on this bottom piece, let's take off the top and work on it. This top is also really easy to remove. It just has 8 screws and comes right off. To replace this top, I believe I'm going to use an old shelf. In fact, this shelf used to be back on that wall several years ago, and you probably saw it in some other videos, but it's just made out of pine. Now, pine I wouldn't really suggest for anything that's going to be abused, but this is just going to be for a podium. He's going to have his Bible, some paperwork, maybe a pen or so sitting on top of it. So I think this will work well. I cut a section about 24 inches long and I think this will work really well. Unfortunately, we got a few small dings in the edges, so I think I'm going to use a router with a roundover bit and it should take care of that. With the new top nice and cut out and sanded, I want to transfer the old inserts from the old piece into the new board, and that way everything should line up and just attach just like it used to be. But I need to trace this out, and this is kind of a large section. And that's why I like to keep a large roll of paper just for these occasions. Now I can transfer this paper directly over to the new piece and know exactly where those holes need to be. Here's what the little inserts look like. They come out with just a 6mm Allen wrench, but I need to do a few test cuts or test drills into this piece of wood here to make sure I get the right size hole. For this insert, I used a 5/16 inch bit, and I'm also using a drill guide to make sure it stays nice and straight. With the original top being black and, well, just about everything else on this stand being black, I really need to darken this top as well. But I don't want to just paint it straight black. I think that'll just take away from its character. So I picked up some of this charred wood Accelerator that is supposed to make it look like I burned it. So let's give that a try. Please tell me your thoughts in the comments, but I think that came out pretty nice. While the top was drying, I went ahead and made the ledge. This was out of just a furring strip that I cut to 1 inch tall. The back side I left nice and sharp, but the front I went over with a router. That way everything should line up nicely on this top. I also did it just slightly short on the edges so that I can center it and it doesn't have to be perfectly even. To attach these two together, I'm going to do something you're not supposed to do in woodworking, and that is use drywall screws. And the reason why is that these screws have a real small shank, and therefore I can hopefully get everything screwed together and not split the wood. I'm also going to pre-drill the holes in the top so that I know everything is in direct alignment. And it's a good idea to hand screw these in so you can feel how tight they're getting. The top is pretty much done. It does still need a good polyurethane or some kind of a top coat to protect it, but the ledge is nice and firm and that should work well for what we need. Moving back over to the base, let's figure out the feet or the legs that need to go on the bottom. The strongest way to attach some legs would be to actually just add some screws through the top. But I don't want to mess up that surface. I think it'll just take away from its appearance, so we got to figure out something different. My next option would be to actually glue some feet in place, but I don't think that'll be very strong on this setup. So I'm thinking if I take a large piece of wood, maybe like a 2x6, cut it to the correct height, and then hollow out some of the center section here. That way I'll have feet on the end, but I'll have a base that actually touches all the way across, and that should give it a lot of strength. There's the back, and there's the front. Now we just need to paint them and attach. And to keep this simple, we're just going to spray paint these legs. To attach this together, I'm going to try using a medium thick black CA glue that hopefully will hold it all together. And if for some reason this doesn't work, I can always try some epoxy or just screw it in later. And to make sure it stayed in place while it was curing, I just added a few clamps. While the bottom is drying, let's try and reattach the top and hopefully it fits. Fortunately, these legs have a little bit of twist in them, which should allow it to attach easier. Let's give it a shot. Ooh, that's moving nice and smooth. It's not binding. I think that's gonna work really nice. And the base is complete. The funny thing is, about 99% of people will never even notice it. There we go. Here's the side that the pastor will be seeing. Looks pretty good. And here's the side that the congregation will be seeing. I think that looks pretty good as well. Here's the before and the after. I don't know about you, but I think that's a major upgrade and it looks so much nicer. Pretty sure the pastor will love this addition. Now, please let me know your thoughts on this. If you had any ideas that maybe to improve upon this or maybe to attach it differently or whatever you're thinking, I'd love to hear about those in the comments. Please let me know. Otherwise, get out in your shop and have fun building.